Okay, welcome back everyone to session number 7 at the Food Trucks Global Online Summit 2024. And I am very excited about this next session, and I'm very much looking forward to it because I have two fantastic people who are going to be taking the stage here. First is Yasmin Fofana, who is our association's representative in the Ivory Coast. And Yasmin, uh, she was one of the panelists at our West African Roundtable a couple of months ago, and she really impressed me with her interviewing skills, but also her knowledge of the region and her inclusivity of the region as well. So even though she's from Ivory Coast, she was very much tuned in to the needs of the region as a whole. And then I'd also like to just mention Chef Pierre Thiam, but actually maybe I should let Yasmin introduce Chef Pierre because I think he'll do a much better job than I will. So I will set up and I will let you guys take over. So thank you. Welcome, Pierre, and I'll be quiet.
Thank you, Eric. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Hi, Chef Pierre Thiam. So we are going to dive.
Hey, Yasmin.
Hey, but before I do want to say a few words about Chef Pierre Thiam and what, his work and his person represents for, for all of us. I really see him as a trailblazer, Senegalese. He's a Senegalese chef born and raised. Tell me if I'm wrong, in some information, but I think I'm right. Senegalese chef born and raised. You are based in California now. You're author, restaurateur, trailblazer, entrepreneur, ambassador of our cuisines, and I'm really excited to talk to you today. I want to dive right in by asking you, what does West African cuisine means to you personally, Chef?
West African cuisine means home. Means home to me. I grew up in Dakar, and Dakar is a melting pot of West Africa. So that's also really saying that a cuisine for a country like Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria really is not doing justice to that cuisine when you talk about those borders. Our cuisine in West Africa transcends the borders, so you can see connection between all those different countries, which are not real. Actually, they were imposed upon us through colonization. So West African cuisine means home, means comfort, means love, means all the joy I grew up enjoying as a kid in the streets of Dakar. Street food from Benin, Dakar, Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon, all of that is that food.
Thank you, Chef. I wanted to start by asking this question because the theme of today, our conversation is preserving and promoting West Africa culinary culture. And I wanted to, to start with that question for, to really to take people on the journey of what it means to you from where you are from and where you are today. So I want to start by talking a little bit about the culinary heritage of our cuisines. Of course, when we talk about, West African cuisine, it's diverse, right? So we are going to try to, of course, stay to maybe both of our countries or, what you prefer talking about. But how do you think traditional cooking techniques and ingredients contribute to the distinct flavors of West African cuisines? Like, are there some like techniques that you actually use till this day in your in your cuisine in California?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is where my cuisine is being inspired from. So the tradition is where it all began. And I feel like as a chef from West Africa who finds his inspiration from that cuisine, I'm also a custodian of that. So I have to take not only inspiration from that tradition, but I also have to make sure as it's transmitted to a different platform to my audience, I stay true to the essence of it. So, obviously, cooking is something that has the particularity of evolving, of finding inspiration elsewhere as well. So I've been working in the US for 3 decades now. So obviously there are some inspirations that I'm getting from these other cuisines that are also great inspirations out there. But the essence, the core of my cuisine is West Africa, and that tradition is really what keeps me going. So whenever I'm confused on my path, I just return to that tradition.
Can you give 1 or 2 examples for people who have no idea
I think there's technical issues.
Sorry, Chef, what did you say?
No,
Did you?
no. I thought you froze for a minute, but go ahead.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm listening now. Yeah.
I was asking you if you could give one or two examples, because I want to make sure that our listeners and participants do come on the journey with us, because we know what we're talking about when we say cooking techniques and when it comes to culinary culture. But can you give one or two examples, please?
About techniques, food techniques, and
Yeah, so
I'm just going to.
so
Okay.
they can connect the culture to the actual cooking techniques.
Oh, there are so many. There are the ones that are more familiar to people, which are just the regular grilling and sautéing and braising, and there are some that are particularly exciting to me. And there's some, let's say from Côte d'Ivoire now. I like the traditional method of doing cajun, for instance. In that clay pot and that tradition of like cooking without adding any external, just the ingredients, but no oil, no water. You just put the chicken, for instance, and the onions and the tomatoes and the eggplants and the ginger and all the seasoning, and you put it in this clay pot and you just keep it closed and let it cook in its heat for like in its own juice for a certain period of time, and you shake the pot once in a while to make sure it just gets well mixed up and the seasoning gets all over the place. But in addition to that, the beauty of this method is not only it's a healthy approach to cooking, but the ingredients are speaking for itself. So it's really cooking its own juice. I really love that came this last fall, Simply West African, and I just love to introduce my audience to this method of cooking. Another one I like is it's inspired by more like Central African. In Congo they call it liboke, and they wrap the whole fish into a banana leaf and they cook it in the banana leaf inside. They can just grill it in the banana leaf or something. It's kind of like the papillote method that you have in French cuisine. And that's really a beautiful inspiration as well. So those are just a couple of examples that you see that are really typical of our cuisine, and I think they have their place in global cuisine as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Let's talk about some challenges, because I mean, we are here to, of course, shed some positive lights, on our culture as a culinary culture. But do you actually think that there are some challenges in preserving and
I'm going to turn off my camera for a minute because.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So I was asking you if you think there are some challenges nowadays when it comes to preserving and promoting our culinary culture, and can you name one or two, please?
Oh yeah, there are a number of challenges, and they start really in how we approach the food system. So the limitation of our access to ingredients is one challenge, and that's a serious one, because some of the ingredients tend to disappear because there is no market open to them. So if depending on where you are, but if you find yourself in New York or in California, you may have access to certain ingredients, but if you're deep in the Midwest, like in Kansas City, and you try to prepare something like acheke, you wouldn't find it. I mean, forget it. So acheke, for those who don't know, is fermented cassava couscous. That's quite delicious in Cote d'Ivoire. They tend to cook it with grilled fish and this amazing sauce they call moyo sauce. It's like a pickled tomato and onions, and it's quite delicious, really. And so that's just one example. But there are many of them. The ingredients don't have access to the kitchen, and that's one big challenge. Another challenge when it comes to our cuisine is also the education. A lot of people are not aware of the great flavors that West Africa has to offer the world, and they are stuck by the brainwashing that's been happening for hundreds of years, thinking of Africa as anything but abundance and great cuisines and great inspiration and great flavors. So when you expose them to African cuisine, oftentimes people who have never heard of Africa in this angle, who have always seen Africa the way it's portrayed on TV with like famine and wars and the type of Africa that you and I don't know. And they often know it better than we do. So so it's hard to make a connection between that Africa and this Africa of like deliciousness and abundance. So that's a challenge. That's education. It takes steps, but it's a matter of time. It's going to change because the cuisine that we offer is a cuisine that is exciting, not only exciting, but it's also timely because the approach to our cuisine, especially West African, when you look at the pyramid, the diet of our pyramid is planned forward. So it's a cuisine that is the kind of cuisine that people are seeking to find now. We're realizing that not only for the sake of our health and the sake of our planet, this is a diet that we need to get closer to. But in addition to that, there's so much more excitement for cuisines. People have been more open to exploring all the foods of different parts of the world. But Africa is now the last frontier. So this is another thing that is getting people exciting. So you have the foodies who have been just watching the media and the TV and food networks, and this is the most exciting things out there. Food is like such a powerful medium, and now people are open to explore what's happening in the other side, especially in Africa that has like so much in terms of ingredients and flavors and spices and techniques, and it's been unknown. It's like I said, the last frontier to discover now.
Yeah, completely. And I'm sure it must have been very interesting for you, living in the US, like having to witness that evolution of like where people had no idea. I'm sure when you were probably in New York starting what was cajun or some, Senegalese dishes to where you are now, and the willingness of people to try and taste, right? Was it interesting for you to witness that?
Oh, absolutely. Being a young cook in the early 90s in New York City was quite exciting. And New York was like the food capital of the world. So we had access to, just from one kitchen to another, you could just be experiencing so many different flavors. But that world was without Africa. That world was missing our food, and knowing where I was coming from, knowing the wonderful flavors of the region of West Africa in particular, I knew from that moment on that we had a place here, and we had to correct it. I knew that it wouldn't be okay to call it the food capital of the world if this amazing part of the world was absent. So early on, I saw this as an opportunity and as a mission, really. I really realized that this would be something from now on, as I grew up in my career as a young cook to becoming a chef. This would be my path. I would have betrayed even my core self if I had just gone into focusing on what they call classic and becoming a French trained chef or Italian trained. I've worked in those kitchens, but which I respect, but I also knew that what made sense, what really would be my motivation, my inspiration was with that food from my region, and I could serve my audience, my new world, which was New York, better by bringing that to this audience. So that really, I never looked back. Eventually, from there, I started to introduce it first in the restaurant that I got promoted as chef, and it was through specials, mafe, peanut sauce, chicken yassa, all those things with new things to them. And every time, how our cuisine is, by the time they taste it, they convert it. It's immediate food flavors first, and immediately people are like, wow, this is new flavors to us. And that was an interesting time, the 90s, because that's when New Yorkers were starting to discover Thai food, and a bit of Vietnamese, Southeast Asian was coming, before even Japanese weren't even here. But I could see the attraction for some of the flavors that we had in common with them. We have fermentation in our cuisine, and those Thai and those Vietnamese, I even had that, the same flavors. We had those excitement of the spices and the heat and the fruitiness of the lime and this, all those things that we have in our cuisine were becoming new to New Yorkers, and that was, those signs were confirming to me that it was just a matter of time before our time comes, and eventually now it's now coming. Now it's like it's being recognized, but it's a long journey. It's a long journey. It's like, it took a lot of challenges to overcome.
Yeah.
I've opened a few restaurants. I've written cookbooks. My first cookbook, no one would publish it at first, because they didn't think there was a place for this cuisine until my first publisher, God bless them, Lake Isle Press, who after that published a couple of others of my books. They took a chance, and the book was well received. Even at the time, we got finalists of the Julia Child Award, which was a surprise because no one knew about this cuisine.
Yeah.
But I knew New York would be the place to start it, because New Yorkers are curious. New Yorkers are open to the world. New Yorkers are just quite special. So that was also an easy bet for me.
Yeah, thank you, Chef, for also making us hungry. Because everything you just mentioned, I'm like, okay. And feel free in the chat to raise your hands if you ever tried one of the meals that the chef just mentioned. So I want to talk about the younger generations as well, because of course, you're one of the pioneers that paved the way to having like West African cuisines recognized the way it is now. But do you think there are ways of how we can engage the younger generations in preserving and carrying through those traditions?
Oh, there are many ways. When you say younger generations, you're talking about younger generations uh, back home in Africa, or younger generations in general. So yeah, in general, I'm going to
Yeah,
start with that. In general, younger
yeah, in
generations
general, yeah.
hmm?
In general,
Yeah,
yes.
they tend to be more open to that. They didn't the world they grew up was less uh, polarized. And don't get me wrong, it is still polarized. But you have the Gen Zs and the millennials, for instance. What they're my main clients, right? For instance, when I talk to I have a CPG company, a food brand in the supermarkets and my food brand is selling underutilized crops from Africa. Our main platform ingredient is fonio, this ancient grain that's gluten-free, quite nutritious, and has an impact. It's great for the environment. It's great for the small farmers communities that grow them. And that message, the younger generation, the Gen Zs and the millennials, they connect to that. They connect to that in many ways. They connect to that because they care about the where they put their money, how they care about the way they eat. Absolutely, they're looking to diversify their diets. This is something that was not accessible to the generation prior to that, because the food system had limited the diet to, like everyone had only access to either rice or corn or wheat or soy, and it was affecting our health. Most of our chronic diseases are related to that, but it was also affecting the planet, because our food system, they created this terrible way of agriculture that is not only imposing those crops. That means you have to keep bringing them back year round. You have to add entrance chemicals, and you have to do irrigation, which is abusing the water. All those things affecting the planet. And the younger generation, they're conscious of that. So they're thinking this way. So they're looking to diversify, and they're looking to have an impact. And to diversify, there's no better place than to explore cuisines of Africa. Africa in particular have like hundreds of those underutilized products, or those ingredients that are not only climate smart, but healthy, nutritious, and that's exciting, not to mention exciting too. So that's what the message that needs to be amplified. It's getting there, but they need to know more about that. They need to know that supporting and not only promoting this cuisine, but enjoying African cuisine has a triple impact. It has an impact on your health, it has an impact on the planet, it has an economic impact on, because you offer a path of development for small farmers who are have been growing it but don't have access to markets. So, and you really also open yourself to other cultures too, which is really an amazing way to bring peace, which you really need, by understanding other cultures, really through food. Food is powerful, it's a medium that really can connect people in a way that no other medium can do. It's like you just invite people around your table, bring them to your home, and especially the hospitality we have in West Africa, that changes people, and you saw people coming to visit, and once they get there, yeah, I see someone talking about jollof rice and fufu. There's so much out there, it's like
I know.
and once they get that, they're convinced. They're like, hey, this is, we were told lies, and it takes one moment of sharing this food, and you realize that, hey, this is really what it's about, those simple pleasures. And someone said civilization began with cooking, and when you look at it, it says a lot, because once you start cooking and then you start inviting people to taste your food, because you don't want to eat it alone, you really want to share it, and then that's when societies start being built around these moments of food. And when you think about all of that, you go deeper, you can argue that fire was mastered in Africa. So this is, I am talking to an audience that may not even see the connection between, we talk about deliciousness of food, and now we go all the way back to early times and civilization and discovery of fire. But it's all connected. It really is all connected. Yeah. And every time you eat one of our dishes, you are time traveling, because you're taking all the way back to the moment of those ingredients were mastered, and then how we eventually transform them into those recipes that was passed upon generation after generation, from mother to daughter. This conversation has been taking place for hundreds of years, and now you are continuing it by enjoying the food or by cooking it. So it's a thing to reflect upon while you eat. That makes the food experience even more interesting, to say the least.
Definitely. Thank you, Chef, for sharing that. What would you say? I'm curious to know about what you would say about the fact that there's innovation and fusion, and except like the concept of Afrofusion, for example, that has, been growing over the years. And since we were talking about preserving and promoting our culinary culture, so for me, culinary culture would be linked to the past, right? Because that's the heritage. That's what we hold on. But now with the fusion and the fact that we're trying to modernize things, some of the conversations are saying, you're stepping away from the authenticity of the meals, of the, of the recipes. So what would you say about that?
Well, there are two ways to see it, really. If the person who claims to fuse a cuisine, or to the term, it doesn't matter really. That's just the word, right? But whatever they come at the end of the day, what is on the plate, the story that plate is saying, is what matters. And if that person who puts that plate, or who tells the story, because it's really a storyteller, the chef is a storyteller, the West African chef tells the story, really. But if that person doesn't know the story, if that person has no true connection to that story, if that person has no grasp of the tradition, of the essence of that cuisine, he has no business calling it African inspired food. He has no business, that's the abuse is there. But again, we also have to understand that the chef is an artist. The chef has to allow his creativity to flow. That's what it's about. That's the creative process that started with the tradition. That was a creative process then, and it arrived here. Now today's tradition, because it has stood the test of time, and it's like, it's called tradition now. There's a moment where it began, but that, you have to continue the story. You have to go and respect the thread, where it came from. But if you come today and have no understanding of that, and you just want to be trendy and say, oh, this is, and you use a name here and one or two ingredients, and you don't respect the way it's been done, your dish itself is gonna say that it's not the truth. It's the flavor. But if you you can be a creative chef and know the essence of where it's coming from, and turn it into something, you know, it can even molecular gastronomy, which is something I'm not a big fan of, but you know, it has, you know, some people are very talented. A number of friends of mine are talented at who are doing it, and you know, and can pull it off. You know,
Mm.
so is it where the cuisine is going? I don't think so. I think it's like it's just a period that's going to return eventually. It's going to return to the simplicity, the beauty, and you know, and closer to where it began. Really, this is where, you know, that's a cycle. Really, things are going into cycle, and that's the same for cuisine as well. But you know, no disrespect to those, some of them who are very talented at what they're doing, and but it's just you know, we're already seeing it's just a matter of time. People are going to look for something that's really more, you know, anchoring and more real,
Yeah,
and
thank you.
less egotistical too. There's a lot of ego that goes into some things, and really, you know, when you come to think of it, you know, it's all about the ingredients. The ingredients, you know, once you source them with integrity, and again, you have integrity in the way you're preparing it, and humility, knowing that this is really that you are
Mhm.
uh, with continuing, then it changes everything, and it's about that really.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Thank you, Shanice. I mean, I know you do a lot of things, and maybe Eric has heard of one or two, but I really wanted to talk about maybe one of your latest projects or initiatives that are really, you know, maybe near and dear to your heart, or just focused on like the concept of education. You mentioned that before, you know, with the company Yolélé and all the things that you do, you're really like trying to talk to specific targets about educating them about the product that, you know, you sell. So is there any project or latest initiative that you wanna share with us so people that don't know what you do can get a sense of, please?
Oh yeah, thanks for asking. And I've been championing the promotion of those crops that are underutilized. You know, I take this one example, fonio. I mentioned that earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and what we did with fonio, and I stumbled upon it. I knew it when I was a kid because my grandparents are from Casamance, but growing up in Dakar, you don't
Mm-hmm.
see fonio. You know, which was terrible. You don't see any fonio products really, and but you go to Dakar, you can eat any wheat product, for instance. We don't grow wheat in Africa, but you would see baguette bread and croissants, and that puzzled me a lot, you know, because that's a heritage of colonization. This kind of way of looking down at our own products. But later on, as a chef, and I was working on writing my second cookbook, I decided to travel across rural Africa to meet the farmers and to really wanted my readers to know where the food that I'm offering to them, where that food is coming from. And so as I am uh, traveling to this most remote part of Southeast Senegal, I go to this region where they offer fonio to you. That's the way they greet they want to honor their guests, right? They call it the food for royalty. And there's this amazing tiny little grain that looks like couscous, very delicate, and it has a slightly I would say nutty flavor.
Yeah.
And you know, I got very interested. I'm like, oh wow, it's amazing. This grain is great. And in Dakar, how come you can find it? And I
Yeah.
start looking into that's great. And more I learn about it, I realize that, you know, not only is a very nutritious grain, it's just a superfood, it's gluten-free. It grows in poor soil and it can restore the soil, which was really amazing. It's like it's the type of grain that we need to pay attention to. It's drought resistant. There's so much going for it, and it cooks in 5 minutes. This is really what was amazing. I was like, oh wow, this is a thing I could introduce to the world, really, to the US, at least to my audience. And very naively, you know, how we chef thinks we can do everything. So, but anyway, a long story short, we started Yolélé, and we started introducing fonio first to Whole Foods were opening next to my uptown restaurant Harlem, and I've knocked at their door, and they accepted to sell the product. Eventually, that product did well at Whole Foods, and today we are distributing it all the Whole Foods in America, and we're distributing it at Target and Sprouts and other supermarkets. We have an online presence, and we have added new products around fonio, because the idea was to bring all those ingredients that are underutilized in Africa and to really start to open markets for them, because we realized it's just about branding really and telling the story, which was not done before. So eventually, now we have created this demand, and we have even started introducing fonio to the brewery industry. We have beers that are making fonio there. Now we have like a whole movement started actually last week, a movement of 8 breweries, one in China. You have Guinness, you have Brooklyn Brewery. They're all going to launch a fonio beer this year, and some have already launched it. And so, the idea was, the lesson learned from that was what we did with fonio can be duplicated with other ingredients. These ingredients need to be known. We need to invest in researching in those ingredients. We need to understand their story, and we need to add value to them and brand them and open markets for them. And in doing so, we have a path of development, because those places where those ingredients are grown, either they are grown just for the people who are growing them, and they tend to disappear, or they just are out there, and it's a matter of time before they disappear. So there are many others. We started to bring, even in our fonio products, we have fonio chips now, where we bring dawa in the flavor of the fonio chips. We have baobab inside the fonio flavor. We have inspired by the tradition. You have the yassa flavors in the chips as well. So to make a long story short, we saw that this is an opportunity. This is a path. Now, how to make it even bigger, because a small company like mine, or it's not one person who can make a change. It has to be a movement. So the next initiative, to answer your question, the next initiative was to bring a number of all the stakeholders to celebrate these ingredients around, something that we call a festival. So why a festival? Because that's really when it becomes popular. That's really when you have the community involved. That's when you have, you want the researchers to come, you want the philanthropists to come. Everyone who's interested in agriculture, in food, should be coming to that place and celebrate. But really, beyond celebrating, understand that these ingredients, they offer a solution to the challenges that we're facing. Food security, because, first of all, why is Africa always having challenges with food? Because why do we import our food when we have our own food that we need to develop? So once you figure out a way to add value and process those food back home, because it's important that it's done back home too. It's important that we don't export it for processing elsewhere, like it's done with cocoa in Côte d'Ivoire, for instance. That is something that we need to change. We need to start thinking of adding value back home before sending it to the market back home and the market overseas. There's a demand for that. Like I said, those millennials are ready to invest their funds into having a more diverse diet. So everyone is winning out of it. So the idea of the festival came to be, and we're starting a first step festival in Dakar in June 26, 27, 28. We're having what we call the pre-event of the Lost Crops Festival. Okay. And that will be, so this is that's the first step. We have a number of stakeholders who are going to come on the 26th to have a session of like planning the bigger festival, which is going to be early in 2025. The date has to be confirmed. And we will have some mini events during the next 2 days in partnerships with some of our partners, SOS Sahel and CIRAD. We have also some research institutes that are in Africa and global, actually, CGIAR, FARA, ICRISAT. I mean, a number of them. I can't name them all, but they're all coming to like make this a unique moment, really, a place where everyone will be around, focusing around these crops. And not forget the small farmers. It starts with the small farmers. So there'll be small farmers association who will be there to discuss how we can together break those silos and think together, not only the researchers in their own corner and the bankers and the policymakers all together around it for the interest and the promotion of these products.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, because that's actually like you actually answered my next question. I was going to talk about collaboration being vital in our industry, but also when it comes to from preserving and promoting our culinary culture. Because if we don't do it together, well, there's no point. And I was going to ask you, how you work maybe with the local communities or the other chefs, for example. So I'm sure that festival and the way you envision it is like already an amazing way to like dive deeper into the collaborative modes. But
Oh, absolutely. There will be chefs. Chefs will be invited, and you will be invited, Yasmin.
I was about to say I
So,
already got the date on my calendar,
can you
so
hear
I'm
me?
going to Senegal in June. Eric, you can come as well, and everyone else.
Yeah.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. June 26, 27, 28, and then the bigger event, really the big celebration, will be in early 25, and that's really the moment where we really want it to be, for the first edition, to be something that really be the start of a movement, really, where everyone will be. So that's important that you and Eric and really all of us who are interested in this cuisine come and join, really, and realize that it's not just a festival, but it's important that the cultural element be part of it. So that's how you really start changing the narrative, because it's about changing a narrative. So we have to hit that tipping point so that narrative changes, and that's really through events like this that'll happen.
And I like the fact that, when you mention, aside from the chef, that, you have researchers and the farmers, because I feel like the whole ecosystem, right, it's all linked and intertwined. And so, you need the storytellers, you need the content creators, you need the chefs, you need the researchers, you need the finance people with the money. So you need everyone, you need the associations. And so that's really important that, you're bringing everyone, and you're also bringing everyone on the continent, because oftentimes there are events, happening, talking about the African continent, but sometimes they happen outside of the continent. So the fact
Too
that
often.
that pre-launch or that first step of the festival on the continent in your country, to me, it's very powerful for the statement that you want to make and the people that actually, at the end of the day, that you want to help. So kudos to you.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Look forward definitely to follow up that event. I want to bring
Thank
it
you,
back.
and really
Sorry,
looking
go ahead.
forward to further collaboration.
Yeah, definitely. I want to bring it back to culinary tourism, because, as you know, the World Food Travel Association is the leader when it comes to food tourism, culinary tourism, and everything in between in that space. And for you, how do you see that niche of tourism? So culinary tourism, how do you see that being used, or in what ways we can use it to like promote our culinary culture even more?
Oh, that's such a great question. I always was puzzled, when I travel a lot in Africa, and I was puzzled to go to most of our big cities, and the most prized areas, the downtown Lagos, downtown Dakar, and you name it, and you would have to really look to find a place that serves our cuisine. You would find cuisines from all over the world. You would find great French restaurants, and Italians, and Japanese and Korean. I mean, you name it, it's all there. It's like in Dakar, you shocked me. It's like a Thai restaurant in downtown. Where's the Senegalese restaurant? That was the thing that shocked me. And then you stay in the best hotels, 5-star hotels, and every single meal that was served to you, you look at it, like 95% of things were imported. Where is the local thing? And now you look at this and you're like, this is the place where the tourist comes. This is the place where the tourist, who's the tourist? Is someone who's leaving his culture to come experience your culture. And this French tourist, for instance, he comes to Dakar or to Abidjan, and he's being served for breakfast some type of crepes, or some bouillabaisse, or whatever you name it, something that he knows where he's from, and probably knows it better, it depends on what access he has. So it doesn't matter. He's not offered the experience that he should be offered. There's no, it's such a big missed opportunity. It bothered me so much. I mean, for a long time, this was mainly the core of my message. I would go and I would deplore it, and to the point where I got involved with a project in Lagos to open a restaurant. To really, that was a response to that. It was like, we're gonna do this restaurant. We're gonna do it on Victoria Island, which is that
Not by
the
Alara,
place.
right?
Alara, right? Knock. Okay, you've been there. You've been to Knock.
No, but I follow. I told you I'm a fan of your work, so
Oh, it's so
know.
lovely. Thank you,
I
Yasmin.
know things.
Well, well, Knock was the answer to that question you're asking me.
Yeah.
So we're here in this big city. I mean, Lagos, for those of you who don't know, is like Manhattan. I mean, and Victoria Island is like the area that would be the equivalent of, I mean, Fifth Avenue, for instance, to the Nigerian dimension. It's big, and there's none of that beautiful food that we have to offer. I mean, it's amazing, and you have, I mean, lots of expats live in Nigeria, lots of people, because it's like a country that has lots of oil and stuff. So you have people from Texas, from everywhere in the world, England, who live there, and tourists who come all the time. And whenever they come, this is not, they don't have this food. And we do this restaurant now, and not by Alara, we decide to take it into West African cuisine, not really just one border, one country, but West Africa. And West Africa inspired cuisine, and really creative in the way we approached it. If you get a chance, you can look at the not by Alara.com and look at the stuff we do on the menu. And today, it's been open, 7 years now? Today is still the destination in Lagos. It's like the place where not only the locals come, but the expats come, because that's where they have the experience that they didn't have. And that was a no-brainer, but why didn't we take the opportunity? I mean, why didn't we, something needs to be explored here. Why don't we have much more confidence in our own food? And we know our food is amazing. I mean, we all enjoy it at home. I mean, we enjoy it at home. We cook our food. Why don't we bring it to West? What needs to happen? There's lots of things to explore here. There needs to be entrepreneurs who believe in that and invest, such as the Folawiyo family in Nigeria, who did invest in Nok Bayalara and did this amazing thing that inspired a lot of others now who are coming and doing the same thing. And that needs to happen in other countries in Africa. And you will see clearly, and not only from that level, but the hotels too need to start investing, talking to the local producers and bring the local products in their restaurant. At the the buffet table has to reflect that, in a way that's really, reflecting, and not just like, I mean, it has to be done with integrity and respect also the certain standards of presentation and all of it. Sometimes you see that there's an effort, but that effort is like, if you present something next to something else that comes from the West, and the thing that you present is not attractive, it has to be attractive. You eat with the eyes first. This is so important. It's part of the branding. Just getting back to our company, Yolélé, when we presented our products in the supermarkets here, we knew that it was important that our packaging is attractive so that it can compete with the other packaging. I didn't want our products to be just somewhere in an ethnic area of the supermarket. I wanted, it's a grain, it should be with all the grains. And now with all the grains, it should be competing with the other grains. And people come and they see this packaging and say, oh, wow, I want to take this fonio. I'm not going to take rice today. I'm not going to take corn today, because of the packaging. And that's the same thing at the restaurants, at the supermarkets, at the hotels. When you present this cuisine, if you have a hotel in Abidjan and you want to present your cuisine, it has to be presented in an attractive way. The tourist doesn't know the food. He has to start to eat with his eyes first. He has to be like, oh, I want to try this. And then he comes and tries this. And then it's like, oh, now he's tasted, and that's a whole other experience. But if he goes back to his country without having experienced your cuisine, he didn't travel to your country, because the most intimate way to experience a culture is through its food, and that's what the tourists need to be offered. He needs to have access to this, and at so many levels we have an opportunity to offer that, and we can learn from countries like Thailand. And you go to Bangkok, even in the street, in the market night street, or in the restaurants, everywhere, that's their food that they present, and everyone is happy to not have to eat Italian food over there. They eat their, they enjoy Thai food, they enjoy, yeah, basically that's
I
a
couldn't
long
agree.
way to answer your question.
No, but I mean, we could tell, you're passionate about this, and it's
100%, 100%, yeah.
we could totally tell. I didn't ask when we started, but Eric, can we take some questions or no?
Absolutely, yes. If anyone would
Okay.
like to ask the chef any questions, by all means, please type them into the chat.
Because I know we have like about 10 minutes or so left. So if anyone has any questions that they want to ask to Chef Pierre Thiam, please fire away.
I would
Yes, you
like to
can.
ask a question. May I?
Please do. Yes, of course.
Okay, so in the last two sessions, I asked a question about how the world has gotten so small with travel and people, immigration, all of these reasons why people are moving around. We're mixing cultures, we're mixing cuisines, and I was concerned that maybe cuisines might start to lose their uniqueness, because you can get Thai food in any capital in the world. You can get Chinese food all around the world. You can get Italian food everywhere in the world. And it's true that the terroir of the area is unique to the area. And it's true that the stories of the area are unique to the area. But how concerned are you that the cuisines are going to start to mimic each other? So if we get pizza, it doesn't matter if we're in Abidjan and we order pizza, or Rome or New York City, the pizza is going to be different, or is it going to start to look the same? So what are your thoughts on the future of globalization and cuisine?
That's a great question, and yes, things are looking the same, and that's why we're doing what we're doing, just because the diversity is the answer. We need to again be realizing that if we don't bring diversity, if we are going into this world of uniformity, it's not sustainable. We're realizing it now in theory. We're knowing that the reason why we're in this place today, again, I can take again the example of the food system. We ignored the abundance that's out there to limit our diet to like 4 grains: corn, rice, wheat, soy. That's what's been offered to the global planet, to the global diet, 4 crops. And that is the essence of what you're talking about, Eric. When you go to Abidjan and you have pizza, and you go to Naples and you have pizza, and you know what the Naples pizza should taste like, and then it's bastardized because it's just a convenient recipe, a convenient dish that you can have everywhere around the world. Is flour and water, and then you find the topping. So that's really a problem that we need to realize. We have to accept that's the time we're living. The world is getting smaller, and it's going to be more and more of that. And that's where others, chefs and others who have respect for the food, really, of the terroir, have the opportunity to shine. And it's not only an opportunity, it's a duty, really, because that really is the way to keep our world diverse. That's the way to really save this world from dying in uniformity and dying into like a lack of excitement, lack of diversity, lack of flavor. And that's McDonald's for the world. That's really where we're going. Either we realize that we have 2 paths: the will that be the Coca-Colization of the world, where it's like all in one, all going to be under one flavor, one, I'm trying to find the right word. By that, what I mean by colonization, it's really like everything is going a certain direction, but it's denying everything else, and everything else that's denied tends to disappear. And that's the solution that's been offered to us the past 100 years. I mean, probably it accelerated in the past 100 years, but it started really a few 100 years before that. It started with the plantation, to be honest. It started at the moment where we started to focus on big surfaces of land to grow one thing instead of having the tradition of growing multi-cropping and in rotation. And that eventually evolved into today, where you have 2 or 3 big companies.
Did we lose Pierre? Or was he done? I think we've lost him.
Hello, did
Oh,
I
there
lose
he is.
you?
Yes, we see you again. Or we hear you again.
I'm sorry. I guess I got lost into this lengthy way of talking about diversity versus uniformity. But I think you get my point. It's really, it's an uphill battle, but we have no choice but either keeping this beautiful diversity alive and the terroirs, their unicity to shine, or just eat pizza for the rest of the little time that this planet has to to be around, because there's no future to this. I don't want to live on that planet though.
Well, it just
I don't want
frustrates
to go
me
to.
because whenever I've traveled, I will always see a Starbucks or a Costa Coffee, and on any continent, right? Or McDonald's
It's
or
sad.
KFC or Burger King, and
Yeah,
it just seems like there has to be other options for people. And I think travelers are scared. Sometimes you go to a new country, a new culture, a new language. You're not sure about what the food is. You're not sure if it's safe. Does this street vendor need a certification or something, or a health inspection? You don't know what's doing in the pot, right? It could be something icky that you don't want to eat, or you might be something really wonderful that you might love. But
Mhm.
people are scared of what they don't know, so they're going to go back to what they're safe. Well, I can get a Big Mac. I know how much it's going to be. I know what it's going to taste like. I know it's going to be clean, and they start to justify all the reasons to not try the local cuisine. And I think a lot of people are adventurous, but I also think some are not.
Yeah, a lot of people have been that fear that you're talking about is talked to. That fear is manufactured. That fear is something that when you look at it, who's gaining from that fear? It's just those people who are telling you, oh, it's safer to come and eat in our KFC or whatever, and yet it's not safer. Even when you look at the statistics, again, all the chronic diseases are directly connected to that. A lot of diabetes and low blood pressure and all that, and heart diseases, obesity, all of that was not a reality, not a few years ago, a few decades ago. And because we changed our food habits, and we started to go to those places, then we are going to the hospital slowly, but we're going there for sure. And so that fear is there, and now we are afraid of the other. That fear is there, now we are afraid of experiencing the thing that we don't know that's in the past. It depends of who's that the person. I mean, for myself, I go to a place, I want to try what they've been eating for decades, for hundreds of years. I trust that. I want to experience that. Now go to Zimbabwe and I see people eating those caterpillars, and I've programmed to think, oh my God, this is gross, but I am so
Tiny
curious to
worms.
try it. Yes, there we go. Yeah, yes. Have you tried those? Right? Yeah, yeah. That's something else.
I couldn't.
I did.
I'm a foodie, I know, but mopani
I,
worms, I was
Fofana, yeah, it was a tough one. It was a tough one. But just to tell you the kind of person I am, I'm curious about that. That was tough. But in Kinshasa, I had a different type. They were dry, they're tiny ones, they termites actually. Those ones termites. They were delicious. They were delicious. But someone else who has been taught to be afraid of the others wouldn't try that. But the future of food is actually in those insects, really, because that's a source of protein that we that's sustainable, unlike the steaks that only the 1% people can eat, that's coming from deforestation and just like creating great amount of greenhouse gas emissions. So you have to think about those different ways of seeing it. But it's an experience. Those worms, you will have it one time. That's the only opportunity you have to have them. Try them, and then you have a nice story to say, at least, even if you don't enjoy them. Some people enjoy them.
Next time I'm in East Africa, I will try and let you know.
try them. Or the grasshoppers when you're in Mexico. Try the grasshoppers. Or in China. So those things are like things that are not only bringing you food nutrition, but it's an experience. And this is all about experience. It's all about the stories that you will be telling at the end of the day. And the stories that you tell through food are the best stories. Do you agree with me? The food movies are the best movies, right?
Absolutely.
The classics, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, there we go. So that's let's overcome those fears by just be daring and just it's not that much of a dare, really. People have been eating those things. They human beings eating those things for like thousands of years, and just offering it to you out of generosity. Just go for it.
I love that we're ending on that, like the fact that you're inspiring people to like go out there and try, and like the food that you will taste will like be the conversation starters like for tomorrow. So I like that. I really like that. Eric, are we about to be done?
Yeah, Bianca had a question.
Okay.
Pierre, she wanted to know if she could quote you on this. We have no choice. We have to choose the path of diversity and let the unique terroir shine. Is that what you said? Okay.
She said it in a better way than I did, I'm sure.
All right, Bianca, you've got the green light. You can use that. Great. All right. Yasmin, would you like to wrap up?
Yes. I wanted to wrap up and say thank you so much, Chef. I really enjoyed this conversation. I'm sure we can go on for hours and hours because you're passionate, I'm passionate. We are with other people that are equally passionate about learning, discovering, tasting, and the future. The future of African cuisines with S at the end. It's so bright, and I'm so proud to be part of this movement, and I'm proud that you are as well. So thank you so much for accepting to talk to us. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for everyone in the room. Thank you, Eric.
Indeed. Thank you, Chef Pierre. It was truly an honor having you join us today. So thank you for taking the time.
It really was my honor. I really appreciate you. Thank you, Yasmin and Eric, for the invitation, and looking forward to enjoying more.
See you in June.
See you in June. I'm looking forward to meeting you personally.
Yes. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yasmin.
We will see you at the next session starting in 30 minutes. Will be our last session for Food Trucks Global Summit. See you then, everyone. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Bye.